Well, guys, you had a bit of a secret to keep for a long time. How hard was that?
It wasn't too long, so we were fortunate with that. You know, we announced it reasonably short after, you know, all the contracts came together and was signed. So there wasn't so much a huge secret, but it was still sort of biting your tongue a little bit each day, you know, coming in, talking to Ethan, just debriefing a little bit about that.
We just want to make sure it's 100% solid before you go and blow us to everyone how fantastic this opportunity is, you know. Like in this game you get promised a lot of shit over the years, man, and you know, like some of it comes true and some of it doesn't, and this one was a big one, and like we're hoping, yeah. And then just wanted to make sure that everything was all signed and, you know, all sealed, delivered before, you know, we come out and tell everyone, so otherwise we look like idiots, you know. So.
Yeah, I can understand that. You talk about being a big one because you've been to all the biggest kickboxing shows, like you had Paul Slawinski in the K1 and Quade Taranaki, of course, in Glory. How big do you put this ONE Championship contract?
Well, it's right up there. I mean, I haven't been to a show yet, but you know, a lot of my mates have been, and by all accounts, they reckon that they look after you the best. You know, so you sort of. Yeah, the K1 days were awesome, man, in Japan and everything. They were really cool, and you sort of had this high expectation that, you know, like Glory's going to be like that, and it's not really like that. You know, you go there and you're really working for yourself over there. It's a big organisation. They've got a lot of people doing a lot of little jobs and stuff, but I don't know. I don't really agree with the way they run things and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's cool and that, but you're not getting that one-on-one attention. You know, that, you know, when you get to that level, like someone like Alexi, he's done all the hard work, and when you get to there, you sort of want to be treated a little bit special, yeah. You know, you don't want to be making your own way from the airports and just little things like that, you know, we do on little shows. I mean, I fly people in, I pick them up. Little things like that when you go overseas and you're not getting picked up at the airport and that, it's quite annoying for these big organisations. It's crazy, man. You don't expect that, but it happens. It happens online fight. You know, all these big organisations, it's not really that personal, you know. So bigger's not always better. Better opportunity and, you know, a little bit better money, but, you know, fighting in general over the years, you're not doing it for the money, are you? You know, you're doing it for the experience, and you're doing it, you know, the friendships you build and all that kind of stuff. But some people treat you better than others, and I'm hoping with this ONE Championship that they're going to treat us, you know, the way Alexi deserves to be treated, man, you know.
Exactly.
And yeah, it should be cool. I'm looking forward to it.
For you, you know, like you've been making a living by, well, supplementing your...
Supplementing.
But you've a fight here and a fight there. It must be really good for you to have 6-fight contract. That must be a big thing and more security for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons to it. I mean, I like short notice fights. I always have. It means I don't need to grind for 6 weeks for a fight. I've always been a person that does do the last minute build-ups, and I know Ethan dies with it. And I like going different places and all sorts of stuff. So there are some cons to it, but all in all, having that structure, you know, my wife's finishing off her degree at the moment. I have a full-time job. Having that stability that we know that we have a certain amount of fights each year. I'm not fighting 8 times a year like I normally do, you know, it'll be 3-4 times a year likely. And then having that structure as well, being able to communicate with the same people with fights, you know, going through the same people instead of dealing with one promoter who's competing against another promoter and then fight falls through and no one replaces it, things like that. And then also having that set income for the fight, you know, we know what we're going to get paid. I'm not taking a fight one week that pays me half of what I got paid last week. You know, that's all pros to it as well. And then obviously the big pro being, you know, it's the biggest stand-up organisation in the world. It's the second biggest martial arts organisation in the world following the UFC. And obviously the UFC doesn't have kickboxing or Thai boxing, Muay Thai. So that leaves ONE FC. And if you genuinely look through the roster in terms of who ONE FC have signed in their Super Series league versus any other promotion in the world, they hands down have the top talent in the world. So that's, you know, that's exciting for me. That's the main driver.
Yeah. Alexi has always been a fighter that likes to test himself against the best, and you always bring top class fighters to your shows to test your boys. That's probably what's led to this, because if you had tried to pad a record or anything like that, the boys wouldn't be where they are at the moment. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think you gotta pick and choose your opponents a little bit. I mean, it's a bit of a game, yeah. You know, like you got to keep testing them all the time, but not testing them too much. You know, you got to promote them in a good way. I mean, it is a business, you know. So I think I've been, you know, probably smart with my choices of opponents for the boys, you know. And you pick and select, and stylistically as well, it's got to be a good matchup. You know, all those little things come into account. Yeah, would they be, you know, where they are? Probably not, because, you know, I think every fighter at the moment, they really need someone backing them and supporting them. You know, you've got to have a promoter these days supporting you to keep driving your career. You just have to, otherwise you're just sitting there in limbo a lot of the time. And I feel for fighters that haven't got a trainer, promoter, or a trainer that's mates with a promoter that can support them. And it can be a long and tedious sort of journey if you're just sitting around waiting for the call up all the time, you know. So yeah. With my boys, we sit down and we sort some short-term goals and some long-term goals, and, you know, I try my best to try to get those dreams come true, mate, you know. And yeah, fingers crossed, up until now it seems to be working out right, Tony. So,
yeah. Well, you know, when you did set those goals, I know you've taken the boys through, and they get North Island titles, New Zealand titles, Australasian titles, South Pacific titles, world titles, that sort of thing. Did you ever think that the ONE Championship, well, I guess when you started these journeys they weren't even going?
Nah, I mean, but in the last couple of years, you know, we've spoke, Alexi's very goal orientated, and I love that. You know, he's always got a purpose with what he's doing in his life, and I've always been like that. I think it's important to have goals and ambitions and everything, otherwise you're just walking around the fog a lot of the time. And I always, you know, say to Alexi, he's got a list. He's a bit weird, but, you know, he takes it to another level, I guess. He's in a good way. Person. He knows who he wants to fight. He's got a list of dudes and dudes he doesn't want to fight, and it's beautiful for me because I get a list, you know. Like because I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and, you know, I just try my best to try to make it true, you know. So his one of his biggest goals in his fighting career was to get signed by ONE. So for me, as a, you know, trainer, a mate, a manager, all the rest of it, well, I just keep knocking on those doors, man, and, you know, you just keep banging and banging, and hopefully someone answers. And, you know, and he's got, it's credit to him and his reputation of his fights. You can keep banging on these doors for as long as you want, man, but if you're not good, you're not going to get in there, man. You know, you can't sell a product to someone that, you know, is shit, whereas Alexi's product is good, Quade's product's good, Carlos is good, you know, they're good, exciting fighters, and promoters can see that, and hopefully they want to put them on their shows, you know, and then they get there and they don't disappoint, and they get the call back again, yeah. So yeah. Sometimes you've got to do, you know, a bit of a freebie one to get your name out there, and then the rest sort of follows from there, you know. So yeah, but it's his, you know, reputation that he's built up over, you know, all these years. I mean, you got to remember, he was a champion before he came to me. You know, I've just been able to play the game a little bit better because I've got a few contacts and stuff, you know. So yeah, it's been easy. it's been, you know, he rocks up the gym, he does everything I say, man, and, you know, the rest just seems to fall into place, man. You know, he's a good kid, and good things happen with good people, yeah. You know,
the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Seems to be like that, man. Yeah. You know, so.
Do you think there was one fight in particular that made people look at you, or has it been a build-up over the years?
It's been sort of, I guess you could say, an ever-evolving beast in that sort of, I look at King in the Ring in 2015 as sort of my coming out party to the professional scene, and it sort of built from there. So, you know, 2015 I ended up winning 8 fights that year and not losing any. I won King in the Ring, and then my first world title in Hong Kong as well. And then just continuously winning, fighting hard fights, and then beating good people, and then beating people that I wasn't meant to beat, and just doing that consistently, and basically just grinding, you know. I haven't had any long breaks since I've started fighting. I've only been fighting for 8 years, and I have almost 60 fights. you know, and it's just from consistency. And I think that's the difference between me and people that started fighting at the same time as me, or people that were fighting before me. It's just I've consistently stuck at it the whole time. You know, also I work really hard with training and with everything, and I think that shows, and that sort of is what just built up, and slowly but surely starting to get places with it. You know, having Lion fight earlier this year, fighting for the Lion fight title against Ludzilla, that was a big opportunity, and that was something that I had been knocking on the door for a long time. But as with everything, but in particular, you know, the fight game, things take a while, and then all of a sudden you're at the right place at the right time, and that's when things start to fall into place. And I think that was certainly what happened with the Lion fight opportunity, and then that obviously gave me a little bit more exposure. Didn't fight 100% well, but I didn't embarrass myself. And then obviously, you know, fighting again in Rebellion in May, I was unfortunate, broke my hand, but you know, I had a really good showing there. And then one thing led to another, word got around a bit, you know, we knocked on some doors, Ethan knocked on some doors, I'd put the word out there as well, and then all of a sudden, you know, doors started opening, right time, right place, right time with ONE Championship.
And your opponent has been named, and there's probably going to be no easy fights in the ONE Championship, but
no.
There'll probably be easier ones than this one, do you think?
Yeah, well, the fight itself hasn't been announced yet, but we have a date and we have a contract signed. You know, there's some exciting stuff happening as well that we're sitting on until, as Ethan said earlier, you know, everything's done and dusted. We have a fight, we have a date, but obviously I'll let the promoter announce that. I'm confident with the fight. I'm comfortable. I think it's a hard fight. Every fight in ONE Championship is going to be hard. But yeah, I'm excited. I really, something that always has driven me in fighting is to fight the best people that I have at that point in time, the best option that I have, you know, the highest level opponent, and that's always just been me. And he's certainly a high level opponent, to say the least, so I'm looking forward to it.
When you go overseas and you go to take Quade, for instance, to Glory, there's a lot of European style fighting, but with the ONE Champion they've got fighters from all around the world, so you're not going to be training for one style of fighter. You know, you're going to have to change a lot of tactics every time you go out, basically.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know, man, like, you watch so much video stuff, and these guys that he's fighting against, it's like when he fought against Ludzilla, like, you watch, this dude's had like 300 fights, like 200 and whatever wins. How do you pick a hole in that? You know, like, oh, his left leg's not that fast, you know, like, come on, man, it's pretty hard. Yeah, I mean, these Thais are friggin' legends, man, you know, so you got to just get these boys as fit as what you can, as tough and hardened as you can, and, you know, have a bit of a game plan, but, you know, we're not working too much on a game plan for this one, to be honest. I mean, he's southpaw. I don't want to go in too much of, we're worrying about this, we're worrying about that. You know, he's got to go out there and let this dude worry about what he's going to do. Yeah, I mean, I think we learn a lot from the Ludzilla fight that, oh, we're worried about what this guy does, and, you know, after the fight, you know, I was quite mad at Alexi because he could have won that fight if he really believed in himself. And I think that's the biggest thing with these young kids, and I mean, any fighters in general, you got to believe that you're going to beat that dude, man, you know, and if he's had 300 fights, how do you really believe that you can beat that guy? I mean, you have to believe it, you know, you got to train your brain harder than what you train your body, and you know, there's certain things that we do, but it comes with experience. Like Alexi's fought some really top dudes now, and he believes that he's at that level with these guys. You know, like with Quade, I know physically and everything he's at that level with those guys, but he's not there mentally yet. He doesn't really believe that he can beat those guys, and I'm trying to help him believe it. And hopefully, you know, this up-and-coming fight, that he believes that he can do it, because it's the most frustrating thing as a coach, man, with any sport. that you know, like I've trained this guy, I've seen this guy, I've seen that guy, and you know they hit as hard as all these top level guys, but they don't know that because they can't feel their power on that,
Yeah.
So you're telling them one thing, and you can just see sometimes they're glazed over and they don't really believe what you're saying, It's not until they fight these guys, good guys, and they walk out of the ring and they go, oh shit, man, I probably could have beaten that guy. No shit, man, like just back yourself, like you gotta, it's tricky, man, in the fight. You gotta, at this level, you gotta kill or be killed sometimes, yeah? You can have a game plan and, you can stay on the outside and do this, but at times you gotta pull the trigger, and it's scary to do that, when you're in the pocket, but when you don't do it, that will encourage you to do it next time.
The one chance that you had, you missed it.
Yeah, but then the next time you know, I'm just going to have a crack this time. And I think that's where Alexi's at with this one. He was very frustrated with himself after Ladzilla. And now he believes that, I can do it. So I'm excited to see, the Alexi that believes he can beat these guys and knows he's at that level, what he's going to do in the cage, Like it's in a cage too, so we're going to start sort of, preparing for that as well, man, and little gloves, and there's a lot of different obstacles that we've got to overcome, but it's exciting times, man. It's pretty cool. Like, I feel alive as a trainer. I'm sure Alexi feels alive as a fighter, and it's a good buzz,
Yeah, fantastic. 2018 was good, but 2019 is going to be even better.
Yeah, 2018 was average. I broke my hand, that sucked. 2019 will be good. 2019 we're going to start off strong, January, and then hopefully win a few fights and see how things progress.
I wish you all the best, mate. And
Thank you very much.
For you, Ethan, thanks very much for all your support through the year for Combat TV.
Thank you, man. Where would we be? Where would New Zealand, fighting sport be without you, mate? For the last 25 years, it's pretty cool, man. So no, we're very blessed and grateful to have you supporting us, mate, and actually driving down here and doing all this at your own time. We're much appreciated, mate. So thank you.
Merry Christmas, eh?
Cheers,
mate. And a very happy and prosperous New Year.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Thank you.